Ready?
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Chapters in Chai Book Club.
I'm Amanda.
And I'm Francesca.
Come on, we only have an hour of daylight. Welcome. I zoned out.
Welcome to the Chapters in Chai Book Club.
I'm Amanda.
And I'm Francesca, and we're just two sisters who absolutely love reading, but our book styles are very different.
So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's turn some pages together.
So aside from the monthly book club video that we're going to be posting, we also decided we want to be doing some deep dive series on different books. So we're going to spend 2 to 3 episodes on one book, and we're mainly going to be focusing on Christian books because we're Christian girlies and we love reading that stuff. So yeah, we're gonna do that, and today's book that we're gonna start deep diving into is Jeanine Amapola Ward's Becoming Happy and Healthy. So Jeanine has written this book. We've only read the first 6 chapters, so we're halfway through, and we're gonna be talking about those chapters in this episode. And she's really talking about things like dating and friendships and how to find confidence and how to be happy in not in isolation but in solitude, and she just gives life advice from a godly perspective, which is very nice and interesting, and it just tells you how to be happy basically. So
even if you're not Christian and you've stumbled upon this video, feel free to continue watching if you want to. A lot of these topics, even though they're from a godly perspective or like a Christian perspective, there's topics that I think are relevant and things that us girls would usually talk about anyway. So there might be some value in this even if you are not a Christian. So you might be wondering why we're wearing aprons and why we're in a kitchen. We thought that it could be cute with these deep dive videos that we're going to be a bit more casual, because it's not like our fiction books where we're going to be breaking down the plot, the characters, things like that. It's more talking about like relevant topics to our life, and it will be closer to what we would usually if we just hung out, the two of us, things that we anyway like to talk about. So we thought to make it cute and kind of make it more like we're hanging out. So today we wanted to bake together. We're baking a chocolate banana bread. It's a recipe I found a few years ago, and sorry if you can hear my dog scratching. I'm not sure, she's right next to the microphone. So. But it's a recipe that I found a few years ago. I unfortunately don't remember exactly. It was somewhere online, I think. I just have noted it down in my recipe book. But it's a recipe I've done many times. I really love it. So yeah, we're going to be doing that. And if you'd like to bake this recipe with us, I can tell you what ingredients.
We'll be telling, and we'll also add it in the description box. And today, since we're always going to be drinking something, we chose to have some Starbucks matcha lattes.
Yes.
Which is a
iced
staple of ours.
It is a staple. Iced, non-fat milk. Usually they make it a bit milkier, which if you saw one of our last episodes, you know I like a nice milky matcha. This is looking a bit too dark for my preference.
The matcha that Amanda makes is white.
Yeah.
It does not have green in it.
No, it has.
So this is a bit too strong maybe.
So for the ingredients, what you need is 1.5 cups of flour. You need 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. You need a cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1/2 cup of chocolate chips, 2 eggs room temperature, 3 to 4 ripe bananas, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and finally 1/2 cup of melted butter. And we've just gone ahead and preheated the oven to 180 degrees Celsius, which if it's in Fahrenheit, I'm not sure what it is. I'll add it in the description.
Like 375 or something. We'll find out.
And then I've just also buttered a loaf pan and added some parchment paper in this. So this is where the batter will go after we're ready.
A question. Why do you need to put butter and parchment paper?
I don't know. That's what the recipe called for, so I'm following it.
Okay.
The first step, very easy. You get your ripe bananas. You want them to be ripe, so ours have these little spots already. They could be even darker than this. I've done it with like almost black bananas and it's fine. We just got 3.5 bananas because I ate half of this. And you just want to mush them up. like baby food. We both are big fans of Jeanine. We've been following her
for years.
Yeah, she even more so than I have. I found her kind of recently, like a year ago.
Yeah, I followed Jeanine since for 7 years maybe. Yeah, I don't know. And I followed her for a few years, and then I kind of stopped following her. And then I became a Christian, and I found her content again. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't believe it's the girl that I used to follow. So I've been really, really enjoying her journey and just listening to her podcast as well.
Yeah, I love her podcast. It's called Happy and Healthy Podcast.
Yeah, the Happy and Healthy podcast.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. Where she kind of talks about same subjects about just life, how to navigate life, how to be healthy through it, from a Christian perspective. It's a really nice podcast, so I'd recommend if you are looking for a new podcast to listen to.
Yeah. So the book starts with the first chapter is about faith, and basically it's about how you can have faith, how you can prioritize that in life, and also she gives you little action steps of how you can find God and feel God more.
I think she even mentions it in the book that she wanted her first chapter to be about faith, because faith should sort of be the foundation of everything in your life. Every other thing that she goes into in the book, like the friendships, dating, whatever else it is, it's all based on your faith.
You build it on your faith.
Yeah, you build it on your faith. And faith is something that, at least for me, it's something that you need to intentionally kind of take care of in a way. I'm talking for myself, at least. I need my quiet time with God. I need to read the word. I need to make sure that the content that I am taking in, consuming, whether it is, books, or if it's, the podcasts I listen to, whatever it is, TV, I want to make sure that is all sort of supporting my journey in my faith. And in the end, what you consume, I really strongly believe, is what shapes you.
It has a quote, well, not a quote actually, it's from the Bible, where it says you need to guard your heart, because everything you do flows from your heart. So whatever you consume, basically, that is what you will do and put out in the world. I'm a pretty new Christian. I've only believed in God for the past maybe 3 years. It hasn't been a long time.
A baby Christian.
I'm a baby Christian. So my faith is very fragile, I would say. So I can immediately see huge effects if I don't spend time with God. And I think it's so important to be careful not to let that happen. And if it happens, just kind of snap back into it. And all you need to really do is just pick up your Bible and start reading, or start praying, or talk to a fellow Christian and tell them about it, so they can kind of help you come out of that rut.
Okay, so we've mashed all the bananas now, and for the next steps, we're going to be mixing the dry ingredients in a medium bowl.
Which would be the flour.
It's the flour, baking soda, baking powder, sugar, salt, and I think you also mix the chocolate chips as well.
Okay.
So I'll start measuring these out. And we can maybe move to the next chapter.
Yes, okay. So the next chapter is about expectations, and it's about when you basically have a plan for your life. You think you're gonna be 25, you're gonna be married, you're gonna have kids.
I think a lot of girls especially can relate with that.
Yeah. And then you're 25, and in my case, you're single, you live alone, you're working 2 part-time jobs. So yeah. Life has not been the way I expected it to be. And it's hard. It is hard, definitely. But I think what the book emphasizes, and I really felt this, is that you really need to trust God's timing. It may not feel right for you, but God knows ultimately. God knows what's best for me, right?
Yeah.
So he might be preparing me right now for someone or for something, a greater purpose, or he might be preparing let's say my future husband for me, maybe he's not ready.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what my purpose is. Maybe I'm supposed to, I don't know, move away somewhere or something like that. And I just don't know it yet. But it's so hard to place all that trust on God.
I think ultimately the expectations that we have, especially like I said, I think a lot of girls have, it's what was taught to us by movies, by, you know, culture in general, but also it is how things used to be. Like our older generations, they did get married earlier. So we saw our mom getting married early, our grandma getting married early. But that's not the case anymore in today's culture.
The generation, these generations are so different. Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like now it's weird. If you want to be married and have kids before you're 30, people look at you like, what are you doing? You're so young. You're not
especially
supposed to do
where
that.
We live.
God has a plan.
God,
Okay, we're just gonna trust that. That's the message of the chapter. But also comparing does not help with this because, for instance, like I have you. You're my big sister. You're 4 years older than me. Our friend also is 4 years older than me. And I see you both like you're married. You are like living with your husband. Our friend, she's also in a long-term relationship, you know, doing things for herself. And I feel like I'm falling behind. And I'm like, without wanting to do it, I compare myself to you. And I think like, why am I not at that stage?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's very human. It's very human to compare.
Yeah. Social media, bad.
Yeah.
Bad for comparison.
But we all, I think it's such a trap. We all will compare. You might compare yourself to me. I might compare myself to somebody else.
Yeah.
But if you see, when I was 25, I had just actually met my now husband, and I was in a different job. Like my life was completely different at that point. Comparison, I believe, is a tool used to keep us away from God.
For sure.
Because it ultimately is... It takes us away from having faith in God. Because if we had full 100% faith in God, we would know that God takes care of us, and we would know that He would, you know, whatever plan He has for us is the plan that we're meant to have.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't be comparing as much because we would have faith in whatever God has in store for us.
Yeah, the Bible says that every season has a reason. Like we are supposed to go through these seasons. Yeah. And me being in the season of singleness, for instance, is like there's a reason for that. I'm being prepared for something. I'm becoming stronger in my faith. I'm working on myself. I'm working on my career. I'm working like now on this YouTube channel. Maybe I wouldn't have done this if I was in a relationship right now. Maybe maybe I am single for this channel. Maybe I'm single to work at the jobs that I work at. I don't know that, and I think these things, like you look at it after a few years, and you're like, okay,
yeah,
it makes
you
sense.
See it afterwards.
Yeah.
There's so many little things in my life that I now look back on that at the time when they were happening made no sense. I knew they were happening because of God. I knew that. I knew God made me, for example, take this job that I normally would never ever take.
Yeah,
was not my style of a job at all. I would have never taken it, but I felt God really pushing me to take it. And now looking back, if I had not taken that job, my life would be, I don't know where I would be. That job led me, first of all, in my career, it led me to another company that then ended up being a great company I worked at for many years. It really built my career. It's where I met my now husband.
That's insane.
I met him literally the first week I got to the job. It just like completely changed my life, that job that I would have never taken, and I only took it because I was trying to practice my faith. I don't remember what I put in. Did you put this?
Are we capable of talking and baking at the same time?
I don't think so.
We're like mom.
I can't remember if I put baking powder in or not.
That looks very white.
I think that's baking soda.
Yeah, it's very white. Is that the same as that?
Okay, we're putting it in. We're putting more baking powder, hopefully. Let me just do the dry ingredients before we continue talking.
So another thing I wanted to say about comparison is that basically comparison is thinking that the grass is greener on someone else's lawn.
Yeah.
But the truth is, which Jeanine pointed out in her book, and I really like it clicked to me. It's the grass is green where you water it. It's not just green on the other person's lawn. But if you're too busy looking at the other person's grass,
Yeah.
that sounds weird, I don't know, you'll forget to water your own grass. So no wonder it's all dry and there are like little patches of missing grass and it's all looking so fresh. So I think it's important to kind of just focus on your own life. And in the end, if you want to become like someone else, the best thing you can do is kind of start taking action steps. You want to be fit, I don't know. Just focus on the baby steps that you will make towards that goal. Like, I want to be healthier, so every day I'm going to focus, okay, how can I be healthy? Instead of just scrolling on TikTok and looking at other people being fit. How will that help me? It won't.
Even if you don't have the like finances to go to a new gym or go out a lot, you can still go for walks. There's a lot of videos on YouTube that you can watch online for free. There are things that can be done.
So yeah, basically in whichever season you are, instead of being like, oh God, why didn't you give me this? Why are these other people so much happier than me? Why do they have all these things and I don't have these things? Maybe just, as Jeanine said, ask him what? God, what are you trying to teach me right now? What is this season for?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to be doing? If it's not...
I love that.
Yeah. If it's not about me like finding my future husband or me having the career of my life or I don't know, having a health journey, I don't know, whatever goals people have, then there must be something else he wants to do for you. So ask him, what is that? And how can I take steps towards that goal you have for me? The third chapter in the book is actually about contentment, how to keep your joy even when you're alone. So Jeanine talks about being alone literally, like she's talking about when she moved to LA by herself and basically she didn't have any friends there. She was just freshly out of a breakup. So how can you basically find happiness when you don't necessarily have other people around you or when you might feel alone? So, and there is there is a little part about singleness here as well, which is pretty much what you said, that singleness actually is a gift. Because although many single people, when I first heard this, that singleness is a gift, I was like, no, it's not. No, it's not. You're saying this because you're in a relationship. No, it's been a while. I've been single for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, no, it's going to be... Is it going to be 2 years?
I think it was 2 years. In 10 days it's going to be 2 years. So, well, yeah. With a little segue. But yeah, I've mainly been single for the past 2 years. And at the beginning, it was very hard. Like, I was also in a very long-term relationship. I was living with my ex-boyfriend. We had a dog together. And coming out of that was a shock. And just the dating world out there, we're gonna get into that in another chapter, but it's brutal.
Yeah.
Especially as a Christian
girl. Hard being a single girly out there, or a single boy probably. It seems just difficult, but we'll get there.
Is it weird? I just want to have a spoonful of this.
This was supposed to be put in the large bowl.
So you can put it.
So, dry ingredients, guys, it needs to be...
in the big bowl.
In the big bowl. I made a mistake. They're meant to be in the big bowl. It's really difficult. I've never baked and talked so much at the same time. It's hard. It is hard.
And I understand our mom always tells us, I cannot cook when you speak to me.
Yeah, she always tells us, and now I get it. Yeah. All right, so now in the medium bowl, we're going to whisk the eggs, and then we're going to add the melted butter and the vanilla and the banana mix.
So yeah, singleness is hard. It was very hard in the beginning. However, now, after a lot of hours of praying, hours of crying, hours of talking about my breakup and being single to my sister and my friends, I actually, for the first time, feel so secure and so happy, although I'm alone. I don't crave to seek a relationship anymore. I'm truly spending time with myself and enjoying it, which is amazing. Like, I go home and it doesn't even cross my mind like, oh, I wish I had someone here waiting for me, or I wish I could watch a movie with someone or cuddle with someone. It doesn't even cross my mind anymore. I'm so like happy. I feel like I've really found myself during these 2 years.
But what would you say, like, obviously praying, but what were like the main things that helped you get to that point?
So definitely spending time with God, but also I kept telling myself, and in the beginning I didn't believe it, but I just kept repeating to myself, is that I broke up for a reason. I'm meant to be single for a reason. And I just kept telling that to myself over and over again, and eventually I started actually believing it, and like, this is where I'm supposed to be right now, and it's good. I started focusing on myself, spending more time like just going to the gym, having hobbies, just finding myself, who I am and what I like to do as Francesca and as not a girlfriend. I started building my identity in Christ more. One more thing that really helped me be secure actually is when I was fresh out of the relationship, my first kind of instinct was to start dating others to help me forget my previous relationship. And
Also because that's what is
That's
kind
what
of
they say.
taught. They say, get a rebound.
yeah,
Quick, go out, get yourself out there.
they say like the way to heal from a like heartbreak or a previous relationship is to find a new boo. That was kind of my first instinct when I got out of the relationship, obviously. And then I just felt convicted. And I was actually listening to another Christian podcast, Girls Gone Bible. And they were
Love
talking, I absolutely love them too. They were talking about purity. And then also Madison Trout was talking in her podcast, Stay True, about how purity is a hard portion. And it's not just about not being intimate with someone, but it's like how you carry yourself in general, how you dress, how you like start respecting yourself and taking care of yourself, and kind of the respect you start demanding from others. And it's just like not just, oh, I'm gonna wait until marriage. So I decided about, it's been over a year, that I'm actually gonna stop dating. I'm gonna stop pursuing intimate relationships. And I'm just gonna wait until I feel like someone is the right person. And that kind of forced me not to think about boys and to really focus on myself. And it really helped me to heal. And now I truly feel fully healed. And I feel so much stronger, like just being by myself and who I am. So,
It's something, I think this season in your life is something you're going to look back on.
for sure.
Whenever you do get married, whenever you do end up, having your family, things like that, you're going to always look back on this season and realize that you really laid the foundation of your life during these years. You like really laid the foundation of a healthy Francesca and a healthy relationship with God now during these years.
Yeah, definitely. And another quote from the book is that two healthy single people make a healthy married couple. And I think that is so true. If you cannot be by yourself, if you can't be healthy on your own, and you haven't worked on all your insecurities and issues that you might have, then how can you be in a couple? What will you bring? You won't be whole. So I think that's something that I've learned. So I feel like singleness truly has been a gift. I've learned so much and it's been very good.
Okay, so we have the wet ingredients mixed up, the dry ingredients mixed up, and now we're just going to fold the wet ingredient mix into the dry ingredient mix.
Like that?
Yeah, that's good. So we're just folding. Okay, so it should look something like this. It kind of looks like just a chocolate cake batter, but it's quite wet in consistency, or like gloopy, I guess you would say. But you want it to be definitely on the wetter side. And then we just, pour it into the tin. Yeah, if you can hold that in place. Okay, so then once you have it poured in the tin, you're going to put it in the oven for, it says 30 to 50 minutes. So you just need to kind of keep an eye after the 30-minute mark. And once you can get a toothpick that comes out clean, then you know it's done. And then after that, you just let it cool for 15 minutes. If you have a wire rack, I typically let it cool on that. And then it's ready to eat. So we'll put it in the oven.
Okay.
Okay, so we've cleaned now and the cake is in the oven. And we'll continue to the next chapter, which is about friendships and how to find new ones, how to find healthy ones.
How to make them last.
Yeah. I think for friendships, and I've heard this a lot, just in general, I think it's kind of like an epidemic going on, but people are having a hard time to find new friendships, especially in their 20s, especially in their 30s. You know, you have your friends if you have from your childhood, from your schools, but making new ones can be really, really difficult.
It is. I think it's very easy to find people to go out with, to hang out with, but to have people who actually sit down with you when you're, you know, not having a good time and listen to you, and where you help each other out and you really support each other. Friends who are genuinely happy for you, who, you know, want to bless you every day. It's very hard to find those people.
It's not only about finding good friendships, healthy friendships, but I think it's also a lot about you yourself, working on yourself so that you can be a good friend. There's, you know, a lot of us can say, oh, it's hard to find a good friend, but we need to also look inwards and be like, first and foremost, are we a good friend? Are we a friend that listens? Are we a friend that, you know, can direct someone with good advice? A friend that is not envious of our other friends or jealous, that
Very
we
important.
support and build up our friends.
Yeah. How can you serve your friends? How can you be there for them?
Yeah.
What are you looking for, and are you what you are looking for, basically?
For new friendships, pray for them. Ask God to bring new friendships into your life. If God knows that that's the desire in your heart to find new friends, He is going to eventually lead you to those right people. But you need to pray about it first.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's not only prayer, but actually putting yourself out there.
Yeah, we can always pray for something, but I feel like we need to actually then take the action steps. God will put a desire in our heart, but we're going to actually have to take that desire and do something about it. Like, if you want to find new friends, go out there, get out of your comfort zone. I met so many people this last year because I started going to different hobbies, and the amount of people you actually meet is insane.
And I think, you know, it is awkward to ask somebody for coffee. Especially the older we get, I feel like it gets more and more awkward. It's almost like asking someone on a date, asking somebody for coffee. And I think we just need to normalize that it might be awkward the first few times. And that's okay. Like, we should still continue, you know, going. You know, with some friendships, yeah, you'll have that instant connection, but maybe with some other friendships, the first few times will be awkward, but you just continue, like, put yourself out there. I don't think you're not going to make a fool out of yourself by asking somebody for coffee. Chances are that they're also looking for new friends.
Exactly. And maybe they're like, oh wow, I didn't have to ask them out for a coffee. What a blessing.
Yeah, just ask. So if there's anybody you have thought about asking for coffee, a friend,
go for it.
Just ask. Just go and ask. We implore you to do that. This is your sign to do that. You need to build friendships the same way you have to build romantic relationships. It takes time. You need to, you know, continue to get to know them, continue building the trust.
It's work.
Yeah, you need to put the work in.
However, I do want to mention that obviously having friends, a lot of friends is nice, but we do need to pay attention to have friends that actually bring goodness into our lives. We want to have friendships that are healthy, that are godly, because in the end, the people we surround ourselves with is the people, we tend to become more like the people we spend time with.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so you want to be careful with that and just keep praying through it. I feel like just prayer is the answer to everything.
It is, but it truly is, though. And then I guess segueing to dating, which is the next chapter.
Yeah.
And
we already touched a little bit on this,
Yeah.
On this topic. So yeah, the dating world today is just difficult. Everyone is afraid of committing. Everyone is afraid of just putting effort into relationships. I feel like people, the first little thing that does not go their way, they just run away from it. And people like to say today that I deserve the best, so I'm not gonna like even work on my relationship. If they don't treat me exactly the way I want them to treat me, then I'm gonna leave. Which, yeah, don't stay in a relationship if you're not being treated well. I'm not saying that, but also relationships and dating are work. And it is learning to communicate. It's two people uniting, communicating with each other, who have all these like different pasts, different baggage probably, and now you need to learn to kind of, date each other with all of that. So it's not going to be perfect. We're not going to find someone who is absolute perfection.
no, nobody's perfect.
Yeah, but in today's dating world, it's like, oh no, you breathe the wrong way, and I'm like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah, there's a big culture of like the icks, and if somebody does one thing and gives you the ick, and then you like cut them off forever. There's a big movement.
Yeah, there is, which I don't think is healthy. And also, people are so afraid of putting labels. Like now, everyone's in a situationship. Like, what is that? What is that? Yeah, I'm just curious to see what God has in plan for me, because I'm not on the apps. I don't really meet many men outside. So, and I'm not really feeling like I do want to do that right now. I don't even want to try tipping my toes in the dating world right now. Like, let it happen in God's timing, and it'll be good.
It will. It will all happen in His timing, the right person. Like you said, you don't even want to find... Like, you don't want to be dating somebody just random just for the sake of it. You're dating to get married, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, No, I don't need any more dating experience in my life. I don't need anything like that. I want my next person to be the person.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually realistically going to happen that way. You never know. But that's the goal.
Something else that Jeanine does list out in the dating chapter is what are some good characteristics to look for, because I think it is good for you or whoever is single to, even though we talked about people being very picky, which is not good to be too picky, I think it is good to have some standards and to have like non-negotiables, like these are what your future partner should have. And then when you meet someone, you can go and kind of just make sure they tick those boxes. And I'm not saying like, oh, he needs to be
blue eyes,
blue eyes, whatever. Not that type. Like more
tall, dark, and handsome. Well, that's what everyone says nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. So the ones Jeanine had listed out was someone committed to Christ, so a follower of a Christ.
Number one,
because that again lays the foundation for so many other things, like just your life values alone.
Yeah. So important.
It's important. So that's the first one she said. Then she said respectful. So not only someone that respects you, obviously, but somebody that you can respect. Because how important is it really to, if you're in a long-term relationship or once you get married, you need to respect the person that you're with, because if you don't respect them, how can you be with them? Like if you're with somebody that you can't respect, that already, like, it's not going to work. You need to look at your partner and be like, wow, like I love the way you carry yourself. I want to be more like that. You need to respect the person you're with. So when you start seeing someone, you need to think about that. Like, do you respect that person? Do you actually respect the things he's doing? The other thing she lists out is if they're in healthy community. So again, look at the people that they're spending time with, because like we said, the people that we invest our time in are what shapes us a lot of the time. So if you see that they hang out with maybe people that you don't respect as much, you might want to question that, because that can be a sore point of a relationship later down the line. If you don't like their friends, if you don't respect their friends, that is definitely going to cause some issues. So it's something you should evaluate before you even get into a relationship.
And a side note on that, another thing, maybe the person you're dating is great. Maybe their values are amazing. But then you notice, for instance, that they might have a friend who is a cheater. You want to see how the person you're dating handles their friend being a cheater. How do they, I don't know, do they call that out? Do they try and help the friend to kind of stop doing the cheating? Or are they just
like minding their own business, and not getting involved?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Another thing she says is the fruit of their spirit. So what that means is, are they just talking the talk, or are they actually like walking the walk? Can you from their actions see that they have the fruit of the spirit? So the fruit of the spirit is love, patience, joy, gentleness, kindness, etc.
Patience, did you say
Peace.
that?
Yeah. Because those are things you want from your partner, right? You want your partner to have love. You want them to have patience. You want them to have peace, joy. You need to see that they have that fruit, not just once they start in a relationship with you. They need to have it on their own.
In their life.
Their life.
Are they being patient when they have sexual temptation? Are they, like, when they don't get their way, are they still able to be kind and gentle? Like, you want to see them in action. How do they handle these different, like, difficult situations in life? And one last thing I want to add on that is that you also want to see how that person is when they're alone. Are they abiding by their values when they're alone? Because if they are, then obviously they're gonna be doing that when they're in front of people. But I feel like there's so many people who are all about, like, being good, having all values in front of other people, but when they're alone, they actually don't live by those values. So that's a great way to kind of notice if someone is actually ready to be in a relationship and someone you should be dating.
And then I think the next one was integrity, which is kind of similar to this. Are they who they say they are? What they're saying of themselves, are they actually that way, or are they just saying
honest?
Are they honest? Are they respectable?
Yeah
Those things.
Similar.
Okay, and then moving to the last chapter for today, which is about confidence.
Yes, confidence.
For this I had a lot of notes, actually.
I loved this chapter.
Yeah, same. It starts off by Jeanine talking about how us today in this world, we put our confidence in all the worldly things, in our job, in our relationships, in our bodies. You know, some people put all their confidence in how they look, how much money they make,
which phone do you have, like,
yeah,
everything we own shows a bit of our identity.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main, actually, I work in marketing, and when I was studying it, one of the main marketing tactic is basically tapping into people's identities. Like, you want to identify as someone who is rich, or you want to identify as an athlete. So you really tap into that bit of psychology, and you try to sell them and tell them, okay, if you're an athlete, you have to have this, and then other people will understand that you're an athlete.
So it starts off by saying that this is what the culture teaches us. This is what a lot of people do. They put their identity into something specific, their degree, their whatever. That is their main identity. But the true confidence, like at the end of the day, all of those things can be stripped away from you at any point. You never know. Something can happen, and then what? Your whole identity will crash. The one thing that is never going to be taken away from you ever is God.
Yeah.
So if you put your identity, if you put your confidence in God and in your relationship with God,
you will never lack.
That is true confidence. That is, it's not going to fluctuate. You are going to be confident because you know you're confident in your relationship with Christ.
Basically, the Bible tells us that God loves us as we are. We are His masterpieces. We were made in His image. So if you truly, in your core, because you can say that, you can repeat that and not really internalize it, but if you know it truly inside your core that God loves us, and as long as I'm doing things that are in His plan, and as long as I always try to be closer and closer to Jesus, then nothing can make me feel bad.
You just know, again, back to the foundation, you know you are standing on strong foundation. you know everything in you, your confidence, your self-worth, the way you conduct your life is all based on something that cannot be shaken.
So another thing we want to keep in mind is that obviously I think everyone has insecurities. Like, I think one of the most common insecurities is probably body image issues.
Yeah.
The way we talk to it, like to ourselves, is crazy. The way I sometimes catch myself talking about my body is disgusting. Would I ever talk to a friend of mine that way if they told me like, I don't like this part of my body, it looks a bit weird? Would I ever tell them like, yeah, that's disgusting? No.
Yeah, no.
I would try to encourage them. That's what Jeanine talks about as well, is that we need to just be so kind to ourselves. We need to talk to ourselves in a way that we would talk to our daughter, the way we would talk to our friend, and not let those insecurities flare up, because also those insecurities will bring a more toxic side of ourselves out. It's like insecurities is what brings on jealousy, what brings on meanness. We put others down so that we can bring ourselves up when we have insecurities. We are toxic in relationships because we have insecurities. So we really want to be strong, and although we all have them, just not give power to those insecurities. I think.
You need to really catch yourself when you're talking to yourself. Catch and listen to the words you're using. How are you talking to yourself? Make sure that you are talking life over yourself. The way you would talk life over your best friend or your sister, whoever, you need to talk the same way to yourself.
Yeah, love and respect yourself. The way world works right now is that we're playing catch up, right? We keep comparing ourselves to other people. There's a fashion trend with how my hair should look like, or there are fashion trends about body types. Like 1 year it's you need to be curvy with big glutes. The other year you need to be very flat, and it changes in a very unnatural way that our bodies cannot keep up with that in a healthy way, right?
No.
I don't know.
We're not built. God did not build us to have our bodies change like that. It is not natural, and we should not be trying and following those trends. That is
it's so unhealthy.
It's so unhealthy. It's complete lies from this world. It is not.
And you'll never find happiness if you follow. If that's what you try to be like, you'll never be happy because it keeps changing. Like by the time you then have those big glutes, then it's not in fashion anymore, and you're like, okay, what do I do now?
Something else Jeanine says when talking about the outward image of us, we need to focus on our characters being the most attractive thing about ourselves. It doesn't matter how beautiful, how much effort we put on the outside, if then somebody meets us and thinks we're an ugly person. Like, I don't want that. So
she says that she would much rather a compliment of like, oh, Jeanine is so kind, so peaceful, rather than oh, she's a hot babe. Which is so true.
It is true. Like, even with my husband, he obviously compliments me a lot, but the number one compliment I love the most is when he calls me kind. That's the one that actually makes my day.
Confidence, again, it says in the book, it's not about being loud and very like,
look at me,
I won't think this way, like this is my opinion and that's it. It says, in fact, true confidence is not loud. It's peaceful and quiet, because you are so peaceful in yourself that you don't have to prove yourself to others.
Yeah, I love that.
So I strive to be like that.
All right, so the cake is out of the oven. It has now sat for 15 minutes just cooling down. And we'll have a little taste there.
It smells amazing. I'm drooling right now. I'm so excited.
It smells of like chocolatey good, like chocolate cake basically.
Okay. Let's taste.
Let's taste it.
It smells so good, I cannot. Delicious. Wow. We should have like a cup of tea with this.
I'd like to formally introduce you to my baby. Her name is Maple, and she might be doing some cameos. I got another dog as well, who's dutifully guarding our our house right now, looking out to the streets, barking at every moving thing. So maybe you'll meet him later too.
So yeah, we are done talking about the first 6 chapters of Jeanine's book.
So far, I've really enjoyed reading it. It's a very easy read.
Yeah.
It's a book that I genuinely wish I had read in my early 20s. There's so much good advice for like somebody navigating the dating world, friendships, everything. But even now in my 30s, there's still a lot I'm taking out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very easy book to read.
Yeah, for me, this is 100% what I need right now. Like, it's truly speaking to this season of my life. So I've been loving it. It's really giving me encouragement. I love her content in general, as I said in the beginning. It has been amazing. I'm excited to see what the rest of the chapters, because I feel like we already talked about so many things, and we're only halfway through the book.
Yeah, genuinely, every chapter could have been an episode of its own.
We have 8 chapters left, but like as in pages, I think we're halfway through.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
So tune in next week for part 2 if you're interested in following along. And we'd love to hear any of your thoughts on any of the topics that we covered today. What your personal experience has been with confidence, dating, friendships. We'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
And we hope you'll join next week as well.
Yeah, we will add the recipe in the description box below, and also all the information on Jeanine's book. And if you enjoyed this, feel free to subscribe, to like the video, or hit the bell button below so you can get notified when we post our next video. But yeah, thank you for watching.
Thank you so much.
Bye.